I falsified my grandmother's diagnosis to get power of attorney. She looked at me, tears in her eyes. You're the only one I trusted. I smiled. That was your final mistake. But then the doctor called and asked why she's missing her checkups. My name doesn't matter. I'm in my late 30s now, and for most of my life I've been the kind of person who drifts. I've worked temp jobs, lived on couches, made plans that never went anywhere. People stopped counting on me a long time ago, and after a while, I stopped counting on myself too. But my Grandma Mavis? She never gave up on me. Not even once. She was the strongest woman I ever knew. Widowed in her 50s, never remarried. Lived in the same little brick house near Foster Park in Fort Wayne for over 40 years. She paid it off by the time I hit middle school. Lived modestly. Saved like it was religion. She clipped coupons, reused foil, and still wrote letters to her church friends by hand. She never said I love you a lot, but she showed it. She gave me clean clothes when my mom was drunk and forgot. She gave me hot meals when I had no one else. She taught me how to balance a checkbook. I just didn't listen. I didn't have a real home after I turned 25. I moved in with her on and off through my 20s. I'd leave when I got a job or a new girlfriend. Come crawling back when it fell apart. She always opened the door. Always gave me a place to land. I told myself I was just unlucky. That life hadn't given me the same shot others had. But deep down, I knew the truth. I never tried as hard as she did. Then, around 27, I found out about the money. She left her mail on the table while she went to her weekly Bible study. I was just killing time, flipping through her statements out of boredom. One envelope from the credit union caught my eye. I opened it. That letter changed everything. 3 CDs, each worth $75,000 plus. A Roth IRA with over $90,000. And the house fully paid, worth maybe $150,000 back then. I felt my mouth go dry. That kind of money might as well have been a lottery ticket to me. I didn't think, I didn't plan, I just stared and thought, this is mine. It should be mine. After that day, I started paying attention in a different way. I offered to drive her to the pharmacy, to her checkups. I sat closer when she made phone calls, asked what her passwords were just in case something happened. I didn't steal. Not yet. But I was getting ready. At 29, I moved back in again, jobless, broke, and humiliated. She didn't ask why. She just put fresh sheets on the bed and made tuna casserole like nothing had changed. That's when I started making my move. I had a friend, Tasha, who worked front desk at a clinic on the other side of town. We used to party together in our early 20s. She owed me a few favors. I told her my aunt needed some old medical forms for a family insurance issue. She shrugged and printed off a few examples. Old cognitive test formats, blank assessment sheets. Nothing with names or dates. Just templates. I told her I'd fill them out myself. She didn't ask questions. At home, I pulled up an old copy of Mavis's signature from her church donation slips. I practiced tracing it until I got it close enough. Then I filled out the forms to show mild cognitive decline. Not dementia, not Alzheimer's, just enough to raise flags. Just enough to justify someone like me stepping in. Then I made an appointment with an elder law attorney. Told Mavis it was about making things easier for her. She seemed confused, but she trusted me. She always had. At the office, I handed over the forms. Told the lawyer that Grandma had been getting forgetful. Said she wanted to give me control in case something happened. Mavis barely said anything during that meeting. Just kept nodding, eyes darting between me and the lawyer. She signed the power of attorney papers. I remember walking out of that office with the papers in my coat pocket. She looked up at me and said, "I never thought I'd need this. You're the only one I trust." I smiled and said, "I've got you." But what I thought was, that was your final mistake. It started slow. I moved her banking online. Changed the mailing address to a P.O. box I rented in Bluffton. Started monitoring the accounts. I transferred $500 here, $1,000 there, always from savings. Always marked as home repairs or medical bills. I started paying off my credit cards, bought a used car. furnished my room with new stuff. She noticed it first. Asked about missing statements, strange charges. I told her the bank switched to digital. Blamed fraud for a few odd expenses. She got quieter. Eventually, she stopped asking. But then, a voicemail landed on my burner phone. "Hi, this is Dr. Wellman's office. We're calling regarding Mavis. We're a bit concerned she hasn't made her usual follow-up appointments, especially given the cognitive assessments we received. We reviewed her last few visits and, frankly, there's a discrepancy. Her last recorded evaluation showed no signs of impairment. Please call us back." I sat on the floor, staring at my phone. My mouth went dry. I felt that cold pit in my stomach. I hadn't planned for this. I thought the doctor would just go along. I thought nobody really paid attention to old people's records. I didn't call back. But that's when the real problems began. After that voicemail, I started to panic. Not all at once, but in waves. First, I ignored it, told myself it was nothing. Doctors have tons of patients, they'd forget. I even blocked the number. But 2 weeks later, another call came. This time it was from Adult Protective Services. They didn't leave a message, but the number showed up in my call log. I Googled it and felt my chest get tight. I didn't know how they got involved. Maybe the doctor had filed a concern. Maybe someone at the bank noticed something strange. I didn't know. But I knew one thing. If someone came sniffing around, they'd find out fast that Mavis didn't need anyone managing her affairs. She wasn't losing her mind. She still did her own crossword puzzles every morning, still watched Jeopardy and got most of the answers right. She even caught a typo on a church newsletter once and called the pastor to correct it. She wasn't sick. I had lied. So, I went on the offensive. I told her she couldn't handle her own appointments anymore. I said the doctor's office called me because she missed too many. She looked confused. "I didn't know I missed anything," she said. "You did," I said sharply. "It's getting worse, Grandma." She shrank back a little in her chair. That's what broke me, how fast she believed it. How quickly her own mind betrayed her just because I told her it did. She didn't argue. She didn't even cry this time. I started isolating her more. Told the neighbors she needed rest. Told her friends from church that she wasn't feeling well. I kept her phone turned off by mistake. I moved her calendar into my room. Every piece of communication had to go through me. And then the letter came. It was addressed to Mavis. From the Indiana Department of Family Services. Marked confidential. I opened it before she saw it. Inside was a notification that a caseworker had been assigned. They wanted to schedule a home visit. They said it was routine follow-up based on a report of inconsistencies in health care documentation. I had two choices: come clean or go deeper. I went deeper. I called the number and pretended to be her. I used my best soft voice and said, "Oh, I'm just fine, dear. I don't know why anyone's worried. My grandson takes good care of me." The woman on the line was polite, but something about her tone made me nervous. She asked too many questions. Wanted to confirm my date of birth, what medications I was on, who my doctor was. I fumbled through it, then hung up. The next morning, Mavis was sitting at the kitchen table. She had her Bible open but wasn't reading. Just staring. "I had a strange dream last night," she said. "Yeah?" I asked. "You were yelling at me, saying I was sick." I tried to speak, but my mouth wouldn't move. It was just a dream. She looked up. I'm starting to forget things I didn't used to forget. But not like Alzheimer's. It feels different. I didn't say anything. Then she said something that chilled me to the bone. "Are you making me think I'm sick?" I walked away without answering. That same week, someone knocked on the door. I looked through the peephole. A woman in a blue blouse with a government badge. She smiled, holding a clipboard. I didn't open it. I watched her wait for a while, then leave a card in the doorframe. Later that night, I heard Mavis crying in her room. I had gone too far, but I wasn't done yet. Because what I didn't realize then was someone else had gotten involved, and they weren't playing dumb. They were collecting proof. The next few days, I couldn't sleep. I kept that card the caseworker left folded up in my wallet, like some kind of warning letter I couldn't stop rereading. Every time Mavis shuffled down the hall, I jumped. Every phone ring made my stomach twist. I was waiting for the knock that would end it all. Then something happened I never saw coming. Mavis's pastor showed up. Pastor Reeves was in his late 60s, short guy, always wore beige slacks and kept a cross on his keychain. He was the closest thing she had to family outside of me. I hadn't seen him in months, and for good reason. I'd been screening all her calls. He showed up on a Saturday morning, all casual, holding a plastic tub of banana bread. "Hey there," he said when I opened the door. "Haven't seen Miss Mavis at service in a while. Figured I'd check in." I smiled, but it felt forced. "She's just been tired, Pastor. Long winter." He squinted. "Mind if I say a quick prayer with her?" I hesitated. I knew saying no would only raise suspicion, so I let him in. Mavis was in her chair, wrapped in a blanket, watching an old rerun of Matlock. When she saw him, she lit up. It was the first real expression I'd seen from her in weeks. They sat together and prayed. I stood off to the side, tense, waiting for it to end.
But then I heard her say something.
"I think he's stealing from me," she whispered. I felt like the room spun. Pastor Reeves looked right at me. His smile dropped. "What's she talking about?" he asked quietly. I don't know," I stammered. "She's confused. That's why we got the power of attorney set up. Her doctor. She's not confused," he cut in. "She may be tired, but she's not crazy." He left after that. I watched him drive away, and a part of me knew it. He wasn't going to let this drop. 2 days later, Mavis was gone. I came home from a drive, and the house was quiet. I checked her room. Bed made. Closet empty. I called out, nothing. I checked the back door. It was unlocked. I checked the security camera I'd hidden near the front porch. Around noon, a black sedan had pulled up. A woman got out, the same caseworker from before. Mavis walked out slowly, holding a small suitcase. She looked calm, not scared, like she was ready. She got in the car, drove off. No note, no message. Just gone. That night, I logged into her accounts. Every password had been changed. The POA was revoked. I checked the credit union. My access was locked out. Then came the email from an attorney.
It was a cease and desist.
Short and cold.
I was not to contact Mavis.
Not to access any of her financials. Not to step foot on her property unless I wanted a trespassing charge. It was signed by a name I didn't recognize. Turns out, Mavis had gone to another lawyer.
Quietly.
Likely with help from Reeves or the caseworker. She'd undone everything. And then came the real twist. A few days later, I got a knock on the door. Not the police. Not APS. A woman in her 30s. Well-dressed.
"Come."
"You don't know me," she said. "But I know exactly what you've done. And I'm not here for your grandmother."
"Ich zerte her."
She handed me an envelope. Inside was a photo me, taken from across a parking lot, handing my fake forms to the first lawyer. Another photo. Me at the bank withdrawing money. One more. Me in the hallway outside Mavis's doctor's office, waiting. "You really should have checked who that lawyer's paralegal was," she said. I froze. She smiled faintly. "I'm Mavis's granddaughter. From your uncle's side. We haven't spoken in years."
But she called me.
She knew something was wrong. I didn't even know she existed. She asked for help. So I started watching. And then she said something that chilled me. "We're not pressing charges.
Yet.
But we've got everything. And we're not done." She turned and walked off. And just like that, I realized Mavis hadn't just escaped me. She'd gone to war. Quietly. With people I didn't even know she had. And I wasn't in control anymore. After she left, the house felt like a tomb. Her scent still hung in the curtains, lavender and old books. Her slippers were by the bed. Her half-finished crossword sat on the kitchen table. But she was gone, and every room reminded me of how badly I'd screwed up. The thing is, I didn't run. I could've. But I stayed because part of me still thought maybe I could talk my way out of it. Maybe I could fix it. Deny just enough to dodge a felony. Maybe they'd feel bad for me. Maybe I could say it was a misunderstanding. That hope died fast. 2 weeks after her granddaughter showed up, I got hit with a subpoena. A full civil lawsuit. Elder abuse. Financial exploitation.
Fraud.
They had records, screenshots, bank statements, forged forms with expert verification. Even the old receptionist friend, who gave me those medical forms, she gave a sworn statement. Said she didn't know what I was really doing. I didn't blame her. She was scared too. Then came the court order to vacate the house. Turns out, Mavis had already started putting it in a trust before I ever touched her finances. She finished the paperwork right after I got the POA, silently, behind my back. So even though I lived there, I had no legal claim to stay. Sheriff's deputies showed up one morning, gave me 10 minutes to grab my things. I left with 2 trash bags full of clothes and an old duffel bag. I moved into a weekly rate motel off Coliseum Boulevard. I didn't tell anyone what happened. What could I say? The court case dragged for months. Every hearing felt like someone taking a hammer to my chest. Mavis didn't show up. Just her lawyer and that granddaughter, who sat in the back and stared at me like I was something she stepped in. She never smiled, never spoke, just watched. They froze my accounts, garnished my wages from the part-time job I'd finally gotten at a hardware store, filed liens for everything I couldn't pay back. Eventually, the judge made it official. I owed $76,000 in restitution. Most of that was money I'd spent or transferred. Some was for emotional damage and legal costs. And the felony stuck. Class C felony, financial exploitation of a dependent adult. I didn't go to prison, first-time offender, plea deal, but I did get 2 years probation, mandatory community service, and a record that'll follow me for the rest of my life. Every job interview since, dead in the water the second they ask about criminal history. It's been 3 years now. I work under the table doing drywall repair. Live in a basement I rent from a guy who doesn't ask questions. I lost contact with the few friends I had. My mom died, without ever knowing the full story, and I didn't even go to the funeral. And Mavis? She's still alive. I know because I saw her once. About 6 months ago. I was doing a patch job at a library across town, and she came in with a woman, probably that granddaughter again. She didn't see me. Or, if she did, she didn't show it. She walked slower now, leaned on a cane. But she looked calm, peaceful. And that's when it hit me. The revenge wasn't the lawsuit or the court hearings or the money I lost. Her revenge was walking away from me, with her head held high, living well, reclaiming her life, making sure I'd feel the weight of what I did every single day. And I do. I betrayed the only person who ever gave a damn about me. I lied. I stole. I made her doubt her own mind. And in the end, she took everything back. Her freedom, her home, her dignity. While I'm left with nothing but a name no one trusts and a story no one wants to hear. So yeah, I got what I deserved. And she got her piece. That's real revenge.